All right, let's get right into it. That little device you carry around everywhere, there's a really compelling argument that it's doing a lot more than just distracting you. It might actually be fundamentally rewiring the way our entire civilization thinks, pushing us away from logic and reason itself. So, does this feel familiar to you? That constant urge to check your phone, that feeling that you just can't sit down and read a book for an hour straight anymore? Well, you're definitely not alone. It's a feeling that's become almost universal. But here's the thing. It's not just a feeling. It's something we can actually see in the data.
And yet, the data really backs this up. Take a look at this chart. It shows the number of American teenagers who say they hardly ever read. Now, look at the bar for the early 2000s, and then look at the one for today. That jump is, well, it's huge. Something has clearly changed in a very big way.
And listen, this isn't just a teenager thing. Not at all. Among American adults, reading for pleasure has dropped by a staggering 40% in that same period. Over in the UK, a third of adults say they've just given up reading completely. This isn't some small trend. It's a massive cultural shift happening right under our noses.
And here's the crucial point. This goes way beyond just a hobby, whether people are picking up novels for fun. The argument we're going to unpack today is that this decline in deep, focused reading, it marks a civilizational shift, a move away from a world built on logic and towards something very different.
So to really understand what we might be losing, we've got to first get a handle on what the world of print actually gave us, because it wasn't just about information. It was about a whole new way of processing that information.
Just think for a second about what it takes to read a book. You have to follow a single train of thought, sometimes for hundreds of pages. Your brain is constantly working. It's classifying information, it's making inferences, it's reasoning through arguments. That whole process develops a kind of complex, analytical thinking that is the bedrock of science, of philosophy, of any serious discussion. It's like a workout for your rational mind.
I absolutely love this quote because it just hits the nail on the head. Print is unnaturally logical. Think about it. When you're trying to persuade someone in a book, you can't use your charm, you can't shout, you can't play emotional music. You are pretty much forced to just make your case sentence by sentence with evidence and argument. And for centuries, that shaped our entire public conversation. Okay, now let's contrast that with the world we're all swimming in today, the world of screams. What's so fascinating is that many media theorists argue this isn't actually something brand new. It's more like a return to a much, much older, pre-literate way of communicating.
And this table just lays it all out perfectly. On the one hand, you have print culture, which encourages analytical, reflective thinking. But on the other hand, you have screen culture, which is much more emotional and confrontational. Information in a book, it's structured, it's logical. Information on your social media feed, it's fragmented, it's spontaneous. And persuasion, wow, it shifts from rational argument to this whole other toolkit of non-logical appeals, charisma, anger, music, powerful images, you name it.
And here is the absolute key to all of this, that stuff works. It works really, really well. We aren't just purely rational beings, we're wired to respond to these emotional appeals. A charismatic speaker, a gut-wrenching video, a viral chant. These things can be way more persuasive than a carefully built logical argument, even when they have zero basis in fact.
Okay, so we're thinking differently, so what? Why does this actually matter on a grand scale? Well, the argument is that the very foundation of modern democracy is built on the intellectual habits that print and reading created.
Let's just do a quick history lesson. In the mid-1700s, as books got cheaper and more people learned to read, something amazing happened. Suddenly you had peasants, artisans, and poor soldiers all reading widely. This wasn't just about them getting more facts, it was about them getting access to a totally new way of thinking.
And this right here, this is the engine of that change. For the first time in history, regular people had the mental tools, these new analytic, skeptical habits, to look at the systems of power that rule their lives, take them apart logically, and see all the flaws. And those old systems, the ones that relied on tradition and divine right, they just couldn't stand up to that kind of rational scrutiny. And that leads us to this really stark warning. You see, liberal democracy is fundamentally a product of a literate society. We have never, not once in modern history, seen a complex democracy survive without a population that's been trained in the kind of reasoning and critical thinking that comes from deep reading.
So what happens when you take that historical fact and you smash it together with our current chaotic information environment? Well, you get a radical, and I mean radical, transformation of our political world.
For most of the 20th century, our public conversation had gatekeepers. Think major newspapers and TV networks. Now, they weren't perfect, not by a long shot, but they did enforce some basic standards of rational thought. You kind of had to make logical sense to get on the air. Well, today, those gatekeepers are gone. They've been replaced by algorithms. And algorithms could not care less about logic. They care about one thing: engagement. And you know what gets the most engagement? Rage and fear.
And the result is a political environment that just feels different, doesn't it? It's so much angrier, so much more confrontational. Our new media rewards emotion and intensity, not reason. The sources we're looking at even point to this strange return to mysticism, where it's not even weird anymore to hear prominent people talking about things like literal demons. That would have been unthinkable in the public square just a generation ago.
So all of this brings the whole argument to a pretty unsettling final point. If all the complex systems that run our world, our science, our laws, our governments, if they were all built with the tools of a literate mind, what happens when we try to run them with the tools of a pre-literate one?
And this is the core warning, and honestly, it's a chilling one. We have built the most complex, technologically advanced civilization in the history of the world. But we might be adopting a way of thinking, emotional, impulsive, mystical, confrontational, that is fundamentally incompatible with actually maintaining it.
So, that's the final question this whole analysis leaves us with. And it's not about whether books are better than videos. It's much bigger than that. It's about the cognitive foundations of our entire society. If the analytical, logical mind that was forged by print culture is what built the modern world, what kind of world will be built by the mind that's being forged by the screen?